Let's make a simple chocolate sponge that is going to be part of the another mousse cake. That's a very straightforward recipe. We can mix it even with a spoon. I'm just going to use stand mixer. We have our brown sugar. You can use light or dark. Then I have here milk and honey. Then we're going to add 1 egg. I use a medium egg. It's about 50 grams. And I have here my oil, just usual oil, canola, sunflower, the one that has no distinct flavor. And we're going just to mix it. Then I'm going to add my dry ingredients. And my dry ingredients is flour and cocoa powder. Also, I have here bicarb soda and baking powder. You can just mix in that all together. You can even sift it. And we are going to put this in a mixer and just mix it till it's combined. I'm going to use the silicone molds. The one that is square, I really need it to be thicker. Rest, the round one, I just need to be half filled. So this is approximately 1 centimeter thickness, and this one would be approximately 2. And I'm going to bake this at 170 fan forced, or 180 if it's not fan forced, for approximately 15 minutes. We are looking for distinctive spring back when we press on top. I can see that the big one is still wobbly and the small one is ready. We'll just swap it. So when we press it and it's spring back, that's just ready. This is smaller shape, that's why the smaller disc cooked faster. And for another one, we will give more, maybe 5 minutes. Continuing with the sponges, I'm just going to level it up so it looks nicer inside. You can skip it. I also like actually when it's uneven shape. It's just showing that it's more artistic and like rustic style. It's also fine. And then I'm going just to use a ring cutter and make it a bit smaller because I'm going to use again just a yogurt tub instead of silicone mold. So I will need a smaller size so I can have enough mousse inside. And I'm going to transfer this on something smaller. I'm going to put this in the freezer later. So with a square one, you can use not only silicone mold, you can use any mold, any tin that you have. We are going to trim it anyway, and we can make a square even if you just have a rectangular one. But with this one, I'm going to make it thicker. I would like to have, this sponge is not dry, so I would like to have more of it in the cake. So it would be like 2 centimeter thickness. And basically what I'm going to do is just put this back into the mold and then I will just pour on top the next layer. Now let's prepare cherry jelly. This one is quite delicious because we are going to add some extra ingredients. I do prefer sour cherry, but in Australia quite difficult to find frozen sour cherry unless you are buying professional puree. So I'm just going to add some lemon juice that will make the cherry flavor more sour. I also prepared some extra silicone mold just in case I have a bit more jelly that I need today. It's always good to have some extra layering being in a freezer because then you can utilize them for your next cake and you don't need to spend time again with cooking. So here is just defrosted cherries from the store. I'm going to blitz it and make a puree. That was noise, and it was noise strange to me. So we have a pit over here. So the cherries was not pitted properly. Now I'm going to add my lemon juice. And another secret ingredient, I'm going to add some cherry wine. Usually cherry is not very powerful in taste, so I do prefer having some extra just to kick the flavor. You can use cherry juice, but if you can find the cherry wine, it would be even more concentrated flavor. And just blitz it once again. And while our puree is still cold, we are going to add a mixture of sugar and cornstarch. And I also have prepared gelatin mass. It's already bloomed, so it's ready to go when my puree is hot. So with this puree, I'm just going to bring it to the boil and have 1 minute boiling. This smells amazing already. We have a little bit like of chunks inside, so I do like having this texture, not just pure jelly. So I prefer having frozen fruits and then blitz it. And because this is ready, we're going to pour on top of our molds. If you have a silicone mold and you decided to have it for your another cake, fill it with the half. So in that case, when you're making another cake and you have another mousse left over, you can pour it on top and you will have a double layer already in the freezer for your next cake. Our jelly is ready, so we're just going to leave it to cool down on the kitchen bench, just so it's not visible steam, and then I'm going to put it in a freezer. And depending on your freezer, you can probably expect at least 3 hours until it's fully frozen, depending again on the size. I would assume this small one will be frozen within 3 hours, the larger one probably 4 5. Now let's prepare vanilla mousse. This one is very easy recipe. It's creme and glace based. I would prefer to use a vanilla bean, but you can use high quality vanilla paste. My gelatin is already bloomed. I have my egg yolks here separated and I have my sugar. We would not need the chocolate for this one, so it would not be sweet. It's more like a whipped cream texture and flavor. So you will need to scrape your vanilla bean. And I will just start to heat it up the cream so we get more infusions from the vanilla. And meanwhile, I will mix egg yolks with the sugar. So we will need to bring to simmer our cream and vanilla, and then we're going to pour into the egg yolks. Also easier to cool it down faster using the larger mixing bowl, and I'm going to put my gelatin inside. And because I have vanilla bean in my cream, the easiest way is just to use a strainer to remove all of the larger particles. And I'm returning this back to cook to 82 degrees. And just pour it over the gelatin mass. Using strainer also helps to remove any egg whites if it's accidentally get with the egg yolks. So we're going to cool down this to 30 degrees, approximately 28, 25. Meanwhile, I'm going to whip my second part of the cream. So just to the soft peaks, just need to unmold my insert for the cake. And once again, we're going to use just a yogurt tub. I have 3 different sizes, and I'm going to arrange them starting with the smaller. Just use your arms and just press it, and it's unmold quite easily. I'm going to put this back in the freezer, and I will finish with preparing my cream. So my cream has been cooled down to 32 degrees, should be all right. And now we're going to mix it with the whipped cream. We have gelatin here, so we cannot leave this cream just waiting while we are preparing other steps. So make sure that you have everything prepared, otherwise it will set and you would have no second chance to fix it. If you have a little bit of condensation, just try to remove it. Let's start filling the top with 1/3. And then try to put it as centered as possible. And on the last stage, we are going just to pour a little bit of crunchy layer, and that will be our cake. This one I'm not going to glaze. This is my version or interpretation of the Black Forest, also known as Schwarzwald. So this is going to be just a dark chocolate sponge, cherry, and whipped cream. Let's make another crunchy layer. This time it would be Cocoa Puffs, because I'm going to use it for my chocolate cake. Just the Cocoa Puffs from your grocery. Here I have some neutral oil. In my case, it's a grapeseed oil. And I have a very dark chocolate. I would suggest maybe 55 dark would be a bit more sweeter, because Cocoa Puffs in general is not very sweet. Just we're going to melt chocolate and add some oil, and then mix it with the Cocoa Puffs, and that's it. We just spread it and have it as a layer. So my chocolate melted, I've added oil, and just everything is very liquid. I would suggest go with a mixing bowl for this. this way how to put the crunchy base I like most, because it gives me a very interesting bottom line. So this crunchy base I'm going to put straight away on my cake while it's frozen. Now I'm aiming to make a thickness maybe less than 1 centimeter. Would be easier to cut, would be a bit neat look. And just press it firmly, and that's how it looks like inside. And I'm going to put this in the freezer. In 10 minutes I'm going to unmold it and put it in the fridge for defrosting. I'm going to unmold it, put it in the fridge and defrost it overnight, and have that ready for cut tomorrow. So the cake was defrosted just overnight in the fridge. I had some leftovers of my crunch base, so I decided to have this arranged on the top just to give a little bit more of nice look. This is unglazed, very minimalistic way how you can present your cake. I still love it, so let's have a look what is inside. So we have our 3 double layers of cherry and dark chocolate sponge, all encapsulated in a vanilla whipped cream. Here is my dark chocolate mousse, and I'm about to assemble another cake, and this would be dark chocolate sponge with a cherry, say sour cherry, and just a simple dark chocolate mousse. This one that is from previous recipe. You can see the link somewhere below. I'm going to use another simple thing that you can find in your home. This one is a box from Mushrooms, so it's food safe. One more idea that we don't need to spend too much money on silicone molds, although I do love silicone molds. I have probably more than I need, but it's just something simple that you can find in your home. Maybe you have your own ideas that you can use. This is, I like the shape, that's why I've made a square sponge and insert. Make sure that you have it unmolded and ready to go. I'm not sure about these gaps inside and how it looks like, but we can fix it later when we unmold the cake. This one probably would be easy to assemble with a non-whipped number lacquer. Just pour it straight into the top so it fills all of the corners, but challenges are usually more fun. And while we're pressing, we knock out more air. And I would like to have a little bit of mousse on the sponge, because that will give me a connection with the next layer that I'm going to put here. I'm making this shape first time, so very keen to see the result. And I'm going to put it in the freezer. Let's finish the darker version of Black Forest cake. I've prepared my short crust base, and I'm going to use it as a base for my cake. And now I'm going to unmold the cake itself. I'm going to do that first time. I never did in this mold. I think it might work. Not too bad. Interesting shape, and we're going to arrange it on top of the cake straight away. I will put this in the fridge to defrost, and then we're going to see how it looks like when it's decorated with a meringue. I'm just using the standard 10 millimeters nozzle. So now it's time to see how it looks inside. So we have a very thick, nice layer of dark chocolate mousse. We have this is a cherry jelly, and this is a dark chocolate sponge.